Good morning, everybody. This is the call to order for our Tuesday, July 14th, regular meeting of the Mason County Commission. There's not a lot of people here today, so maybe this will be a short, sweet meeting, and we'll get through it. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's see. Would you please? Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Nederland.
I'm here.
Commissioner District 2, Tim Shapiro. Terry Jeffries.
Here. Is there any correspondence or organizational business to come before this commission?
There is. The U.S. Department of the Interior sent a letter regarding tilt payment. Orca sent notification of contribution for calendar year 2016. The Department of Health sent an administrative order reclassifying 31 acres of Hickory Passage commercial shellfish growing area. Adrian Amar applied for the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. Jack Johnson and Judy Scott applied for the Joint UGA Citizen Advisory Committee. And the Liquor Control Board sent a special occasion application for Hood Canal Celtic Festival Committee.
Thank you. Next up is item number 4.2, news release, Board of Equalization membership, and it's me. The Mason County Board of Equalization membership. The Board of Mason County Commissioners is seeking applications for community members who are interested in serving on the Mason County Board of Equalization as an alternate member. The term of the position will end May 31st, 2017. Applicants must reside in Mason County. Equalization is the three-member board appointed by the Mason County Commissioners. One alternate member may also be selected. The board's responsibility is to ensure that all property valuations are at 100% of market value, so equitable tax assessment can be established. Taxpayers may appeal their assessment, including their assessments of real and personal property, forest land, timber, and open space. The board also considers denial of senior citizen property taxes. Taxpayers can file a petition with the Board of Equalization, and a hearing will be scheduled to present their appeal of their assessment. Depending on the number of appeals heard each year, the board may meet up to 3 days a week throughout the year. Board members are paid a per diem, currently $100 per day when in session. As required by RCW 84.48.042, the successful applicant must attend training provided by the Washington State Department of Revenue within 1 year of appointment or reappointment. Interested citizens may obtain an application at the Mason County Commissioner's Office at 411 North 5th Street, Shelton, or by calling Shelton 360-427-9670, extension 419, Belfair 275-4467, extension 419, and Elma 482-5269, extension 419, or visit the Mason County website at www.co.mason.wa.us. Applications will be accepted until July 31st, 2015. Next up is a news release, Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council, Commissioner Jeffries.
Mason County is seeking applicants to fill one position on the Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council. This Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging is a local governmental agency that provides home and community services for seniors and adults with disabilities to help them remain living in their own homes. The Advisory Council makes recommendations to the Council of Governments and staff. They meet the first Wednesday of each month from 9:30 a.m. to approximately 12 p.m. at the Area Agency on Aging Office, 4419 Harrison Avenue Northwest in Olympia. That's a wrong address. Members are not paid. However, automobile mileage to attend meetings is reimbursed at the federal IRS rate. The website address is www.lmtaa.org. Contact the Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging at 360-664-0791. We invite interested persons to apply by completing an Advisory Council application form that can be downloaded from the website at www.mtaa.org. On the home page, click the About tab and select Advisory Council. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and open the application. To have an application sent to you, contact Rebecca Holmes at 360-664-3162, extension 112, or call the Commissioner's Office at 360-427-9670, extension 419, or 360-275-4467, extension 419. Mail applications to Mason County Commissioners, 411 North 5th Street, Shelton, Washington, 98584. Applications will be accepted until the position is filled.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there any other correspondence or organizational business to come before this body? Thank you. Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 5, which is our open forum for citizens input. This is your opportunity to speak on any item that is not on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, we ask that you wait, hold off, and speak to it at that point. You'll be given an opportunity to testify or ask questions on any of those issues then. With that being said, is there anybody in the audience here who would like to speak on an issue that is not on the agenda today? Former Commissioner Bloomfield.
Thank you, Commissioner. Steve Bloomfield, Southeast 391 Dahman Road, Shelton, Washington. We've leased the property out on the tidelands from the county, and now we're in the process of planning and evaluating the proper use of the tidelands. And we've come to find that some of the tidelands is not suitable for geoduck as we originally had intended use, but we think that there could be other uses for that area of tideland, primarily oyster culture type stuff. And we may want to come back here in a short time with a very well laid out plan of allowing us to do that. But that would take a change maybe in the lease agreement that we have, change the use for that area, and we, of course, different permitting process. But we want to make sure we're clear on this and keep you well appraised of what best use of your land is, and so you can get the highest value per acre on as much of it as we can get. So
We look forward to getting more money from
yeah, anyway, that's all good for everybody.
I really appreciate working with Seattle Shellfish, and I especially appreciate how you're keeping us up to date on these things. How many acres do you think you'll be able to plant in geoduck?
I don't know. They're working up a GIS format on it, so we'll be able to tell you exactly the amount of square feet for geoduck, what would be best used in other type culture. Okay. And when that's done, I'll bring it to you.
Okay.
We're probably getting close to doing that, and it will be laid out so that, in fact, I can give you a copy of it if that's what you'd like at the time, and with recommendations. So.
Well, thank you for keeping us up to date, and darn.
It
would have been nice.
Well, it'd be nice to have 19 acres of geoduck, but that being said, there's going to be a substantial amount of it that's not, and it's partly because of the way the configuration of the land is a settling point for ovoids, green seagrasses, and they float in there, settle in a pile, and it kind of just deposits in there. Well, you can't do that. Depletes oxygen and causes an anaerobic condition in the soils. So in that pocket area, so we'll have to mitigate around that, figure out a different way, better method, maybe make as much money anyway. So
Okay.
that's the important thing.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda today? Hearing none, we will go ahead and move forward with item number 6, which is the adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I will second. It has been moved and seconded for the adoption of the agenda as presented. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 7, approval of the minutes. There are no minutes for the approval, so we will move over to item number 8. Item number 8 is the approval of the action agenda. All items under the list of action agenda will be enacted or may be enacted by one motion, unless a commissioner or citizen requests that it be taken off for a separate vote. What we will be doing is we will read each of the items to you and put it in the record. With that being said, you'll be given an opportunity after that to ask any question that may help you to decide whether or not to take it off the agenda. If you already know you want to take it off the agenda, or you would like to testify or have some comments you would like to make, we ask that you do ask for it to be removed, and we will take it for a separate vote. You'll be given that opportunity. With that being said, I will read item number 8.1 through 8.4. Commissioner Jeffries, if you would read 8.4 through 8.8. Item number 8.1, approval of the consolidated contract C17118 amendment number 3, adding statements of work to the tuberculosis program and pollution identification and correction program for an increase of $45,000. Item number 8.2, approval of the early intervention program agreement number 1563 through dash 42463. The contract is a continuation of the revenue and workload from this contract were budgeted in the 2015 budget. There are no matching funds required. Item number 8.3, approval of the Veterans Assistance Fund application for housing, $1,400, as recommended by the Veterans Service Office. Item number 8.4, approval to accept the recommendations of the hearings examiner and grant the vacation number 391 of the right-of-way as petitioned, subject to the conditions contained in the findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the hearings examiner.
Item 8.5, approval to schedule a public hearing for July 28, 2015 at 6:30 p.m. to consider adoption of revised Mason County Title 14, Building and Construction, Chapter 14.08, Building Code Amendments, amending Section 14.08.030, Permits Required, and adding new Section 14.08.031, Work Exempt from Permits. 8.6, approval of warrants. Our Claims Clearing Fund warrants numbers 8025726- through 8025983 for a total of $744,711.71. The Direct Deposit Fund warrants number 23245- through 23627, total amount $618,463.76. And the Salary Clearing Fund warrants number 7001132 through 7001160 for a total amount of $420,043.39. Total warrants being approved today is $1,783,218.86. Year to date, our claims clearing total is $16,938,935.26. Direct deposit year to date total $7,715,350.56, and year to date total for the salary clearing fund is $7,929,203.67. 8.7, approval to appoint Deborah Reeves to fill a position on the Mason County Board of Equalization for a 3-year term ending on May 31st, 2018. And finally, 8.8, approval of the resolution to rescind the local emergency declaration, Resolution 31-15.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now that that has been read into the record, your opportunity to ask any questions that may help you decide whether or not to take it off the agenda. Is there anybody who has a question that would help them to decide that? Hearing none, are there any items that the community would like taken off the agenda for a separate vote? Commissioner, any items from here?
No.
Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve items 8.1 through 8.8 on today's action agenda.
I will second. It has been moved and seconded for the approval of items 8.1 through 8.8 as stated. Any discussions?
I just want to thank Director Adkins for her work on 8.5. We had requested that we find opportunities for having building permit structures that don't necessarily need to have permits to be exempted, and thank you for your work on that.
I think that will go a long way for our community and may even spur some economic development. Every little piece helps.
Look forward to the testimony on the 28th.
Yep. That being said, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. They are approved. And we are too early to go into our public hearing. So let's go ahead, if you don't mind, and we will start off with other business department heads and elected. Are there any department heads or elected officials that are willing to help us kill some time? Hearing none, okay. Then we'll move on to board reports and calendars. Commissioner, draw it out.
And you know I can do that. So last week, following our regular commission meeting, I did meet with the director of our Mason Conservation District, John Bolander, on a number of issues and suggestions coming forward. One of them is there's something called the Voluntary Stewardship Program that that has been funded by the legislature. We will be having a briefing in the next couple of weeks to see how we can take advantage of this program. Basically, it's an opportunity to do some work that isn't required around especially agricultural areas to protect the environment and have coexistence between agriculture and the natural environment. So I'll be curious to see how we can take advantage of that. Then I had a meeting of the Habitat for Humanity Finance Committee. I met with our director of the Hood Canal Coordinating Council on just preparation for the upcoming meetings and some of the issues we'll be addressing. I met with some constituents and also candidates of the City Commission, just to hear what some of their hopes are and what are their ideas for if they were to be elected about how to work with the county. And then, let's see, we had a lot of things going on over the weekend that were personal. And then back here for briefings. And then following this meeting, I will be meeting with Christy Buck from the Port of Shelton, just kind of updating on what we can be doing together and what we are doing together. We did receive some really good recommendations from the Economic Development Comprehensive Plan update and some ideas they have, and so I'd like to discuss those further. The Mace 911 agency, we have our budget hearing today, and then anticipate adopting a budget for 2016. Hood Canal Coordinating Council, they're meeting on Wednesday, and then we have our first of the season music in the park, and they've moved the location for that over to Neelan Park, so this ought to be an interesting change and potentially a change of audience.
It used to be.
It used to be at the park right next to the post office. The name's escaping me right now. So different venue. We'll see if that'll change the dynamic of that. It's a great event. Local talent and just a great way to spend an evening. The idea that first was created in order to bring people downtown in the evenings during the summertime, and so we'll be continuing that tradition. And then I'll be meeting with the director of our area agency on aging. They have some facility changes they'd like to make in their Shelton offices, and so we'll be talking about locations. Back here for briefings on Monday.
You didn't do very well.
I didn't do very well?
That's okay, I have an idea on how to handle this. And leaves the room before I get to that. We had our National Association of Counties conference call where we go over all the different issues to get ready for a big event. This is the group that represents the counties of Washington State and all the different states in the country nationally. We also had the EBC meeting. Community development had different meetings with different people because of the bypass being passed through the House and the Senate. Everybody's wondering what's happening, how they're going to be able to benefit from it, what's going to go on. So everybody wants to talk about it a little bit. We lost a teacher, a very special teacher. I had him for a short time. He was a very great man. When I first came here, he was one of the only people I met and knew, and he made sure that I was taking care of this community. His name is Mr. Taylor. We had our briefings. I met with members of the Sewer Advisory Committee and the different citizens of Beards and Lynch Cove in regards to crime. This next week we have a Legislative Steering Committee conference call for the wrap-up Alliance of the Healthy South Sound Executive Board meeting. North Mason Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors luncheon, the Hood Canal Coordinating Council where we will be together. There is a, what's the proper term? It's not just courthouse security, but it's a meeting for the county. Campus security meeting also. Realtors Quality of Life meeting. Lemonade event, that's the Hood Canal School District where they are creating a business and selling lemonade, and I'll be attending that and working with the kids on that. Allen Days is coming up here, and then after that, on the same weekend, So come on out and get your gooey duck ice cream, and yes, there is such a thing as gooey duck ice cream, and it's not that bad. If you have the sherbet one where it's sour, it takes away a lot of it, so that's amazing. Let's see, Superior Court will be meeting with us in regards to our community court. The risk pool has their annual briefing with us and our regular briefing. And now that we are still 5 minutes early and made it through.
Can I just take a point of
sure.
privilege? This community has a tremendous amount of gratitude to give Commissioner Netherland and the amazing work he did in getting the Belfair bypass and the transportation package. And I just want to make sure the community knows how hard you worked on that. You were down there, you were calling till 3 a.m. in the morning getting those boats. And I just want to personally thank you, and I hope that the community acknowledges and recognizes your hard work and Commissioner Sheldon's hard work in making sure we have a bypass, folks. This is pretty darn exciting.
Don't underestimate all the help that we had, especially here locally from Commissioner Jeffries. You know, when it comes time to talk to people, especially that they know are not going to be open to it, but you have to try. I very much appreciate our help. This was a complete team effort, and I think we're all benefiting because of it. It's wonderful. We still got 4 minutes, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw one of you under the bus. Ross, would you please stand up here and let everybody know what your job is? Oh, what you do here. This is on camera. It goes out to the community. And
Well, thank you. 30 seconds worth.
after
Yeah,
a
I
while,
can
you'll
help you out on that.
start to leave when I start to get
My name is Ross McDowell. I am the Emergency Management Manager and also the Information Services Manager. I hold 2 hats. I'll start with the emergency management side, which is my one of my primary goals right now is to try to make our comprehensive emergency plan really a workable plan. There's a lot of plans that are out there that are just paper and they're sitting on a shelf and everybody says, oh yeah, we're going to do that, we're going to do this when an emergency occurs. Well, part of my job is to gather those people together before the emergency occurs, practice what we're going to do, see if it's really going to work, and make some modifications to our plans so that they do work when it comes to a time of emergency. And our times of emergency, we're currently in one right now with a couple of things. One is the fire season, which we all know of. We just did the emergency declaration, which thank you for doing that. And we might be coming back with another one depending on what the weather does. But then we're also looking in our office at drought, which is very unusual for the state of Washington to even use that word of drought, but it is true. We've been working with PUD, with our utility districts, and asking and saying, what are your plans in case something does happen if we run out of water? Wells go dry. How are we going to deal with that? You know, water is one of the main things. You can go without food for a week. Me personally, I can't, but you know, a lot of people can go without food for a week, but you can't go without water. So it's really important that we have that kind of plan in place, at least get started talking about it. And that's something we've been dealing with and doing a lot with right now currently. My second hat that I wear is the IT hat, and it's the information technologies and information services. We're looking at people nowadays can't go anywhere without their PDA or without their telephone or without their computer, their laptop, or their whatever they have. That's part of my job there, is to try to figure out what we have currently, which we have quite a bit of equipment out here that is using and working. But the best part about IT is when you don't see us. Because when you don't see us, it means everything's working, and that's a good thing. Okay? When you do see us, it's usually we're either going to do an upgrade for you, and you'll be happy to have this upgrade, or something has failed, and we have to fix it. We try to fix as much as we can, as quick as we can, because we know we want to keep business running, and we know how important it is for the computers. We're also trying to put new things in place. We're looking at going into using the cloud, using that system. Things that are available out there. The only problem is a lot of things come with a big price tag. So that's another issue that we have to deal with, and I try to deal with myself and also support services, is trying to figure out where can we get our buck? What are we using? And how can, if we bring something in that's a little costly, what else can it do for us? We're not just looking at single option equipment, hardware. We're looking for stuff that can actually help the entire county and open things up to every county office so they can do their jobs better. So when you don't see me, it's a good thing on the IT side. If you do see me when it's the emergency management side, there's something usually going wrong. So the reason we have an emergency. So I'm happy to be here. I've worked in emergency management for quite some time, and I gotta say, coming in here, we're very well organized on our side. We have a few things that we're still working on our EOC, getting personnel in there to work in the EOC and to get to know what we actually expect of them when they're working in our EOC.
You say
Emergency Operations Center, I'm sorry, I'm also an acronyms freak, so we have a lot of those. So EOC is Emergency Operations Center, and that is actually a place where we gather everybody in to do planning and logistics, everything except operations. We have changed that currently, that we're doing something that we pull the operations out and let them do their job out there on the road and on the street and in the areas where they're actually working, and getting them out of the office, which is the best way to go. It's called Area Command, and it also leaves people their authority. If you're a fire chief, you're a fire chief, and you're going to do fire chief stuff. If you're a police chief, you're going to police chief stuff. If you're a health department, you're going to do health department stuff. You'll do that outside of the EOC, but you'll report back to us because we're going to be your supplies for you. We'll be your UPS for you. We're going to be your, we'll be your think tank. That's what we use it for. And it works out pretty well. Works out well. Plus we're gaining new partners every day here, so it's kind of nice.
And as a compliment to what you're doing out there in the EOC, the MACECOM had experimented once with having a mobile dispatcher, which when the governor came for Billy Frank's funeral at the Little Creek area, they experimented with it, and that turned out to be a really, really good experience, and people loved having them right there, because it's one thing to call in to dispatch and describe what's going on. It's another thing to come in and talk.
Actually see what happens in dispatch. We actually have 2 stations in our EOC for dispatch. We spent some of our grant dollars to pay for now putting the IT hat on again, to pay for the Raytheon equipment that we needed for them to be able to dispatch directly from our EOC in case something does happen with their EOC or with their dispatch center, or if their dispatch center gets overloaded. They can come out there and actually dispatch from out there. All the computer systems radio systems are already there. We're ready to go. Redundancy is yes. So that's me.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Time we'll put the bus on somebody else.
Thank you.
I want to give a compliment to you that came in. I met with Beards Cove and Lynch Cove, and one of your officers, I guess there's something had dropped off into the road and sat there for a long time, and people just kept going around it, and this older lady was really amazed that nobody would get out and move it. And she says then one of Mason County's finest pulled up, and she thought they were going to just drag it off the side of the road, but instead they proceeded to take it apart, put it in the car, and get rid of it, and completely take it out. And she wanted me to pass on that compliment to you and your folks, so please take it as that for the citizens of Beards and Lynch Cove.
I'll look it up. Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, we are now into our time where we can go ahead and enter our hearing. First hearing. Item number 9.1, public hearing to consider recommended change to speed limit regulations on Sand Hill Road. Staff Melissa McFadden will call this public hearing to order.
Good morning, Melissa McFadden, Mason County Public Works. This public hearing this issue was initiated when Commissioner Netherland asked us to have a look at the school zone speed limit on Sand Hill Road. He had received some questions and concerns from residents in the area. The zone was set in 2006, 12 months a year, 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And people were saying that they thought that was a little bit excessive and didn't feel as though it should remain that way. I met with folks at the school, folks who are involved with the Little League Association there. There was widespread comment on social media. There were a lot of people who kind of got involved in the issue. One thing that Commissioner Jeffries brought up when we initially briefed on it was looking at signing it for speed zone during daylight hours, and that actually made a lot of sense based on the fact that the park is not lit, so there isn't probably a lot of use when it's not daylight hours. We evaluated what we thought would be number of crossings outside of daylight hours, which seemed to be very low. Talked with Chief Ryan Sperling at the Mason County Sheriff's Office. The principal of the school did not hear any concern about that, so we recommend that the school zone speed limit be set 12 months of the year still to account for summertime activities, sports activities, but be set at 20 miles an hour during daylight hours 12 months of the year. So that's our recommendation.
Is there any questions from the community? Hearing none, Commissioner, any questions?
No.
We will close that part of the testimony, move into public testimony. Is anybody who would like to testify? Hearing none, we'll move on to to Commissioner testimony. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I'm just thankful to the Public Works for your work on this and for everybody's agreement. There is a lot of traffic that goes, or pedestrian crossing there, and so it was very important that we maintain some protection for those folks. But there were other folks that, you know, in the winter time when that park does not get used as much, felt that it was a speed trap. So I think this is a nice compromise between both needs and the seasonal uses.
Well, yeah, remember, it could actually be dark at 4 o'clock, and that thing still goes on, all these people going home from work, and what was it, we had Bob Harris, who's only received 2 tickets in his life, and both of them were there, and he's 70 or 69 or something, and both of them were right there on that hill, and his wife was always mad at him because he drives like a pokey. When you're going up a hill, you automatically do it. So, any other testimony?
No.
Then I close the testimony aspect and move for a motion.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that we, the board execute the ordinance changing the school speed zone from 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. to daylight hours on Sand Hill Road.
It has been moved and seconded to change the ordinance to read for daylight hours on Sand Hill Road. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. That one is closed. We'll move on to public hearing. Consider private permit for Francis Millette, staff. No, you're not.
We're gonna do a switcheroo. Mix it up a little. Good morning, Commissioners. Loretta Swanson, Mason County Public Works. This is a hearing for the board to consider executing an agreement for a private line occupancy permit with the Millettes. And the purpose for this permit is to allow for a crossing under Lake Drive, which is up by Haven Lake, neck of the woods, and to install a on-site septic. So the property, they own property on either side of the road, and they need to push a line under the road to have a crossing. And the application was made, paid, all of those good things, posted, and here we are today.
Thank you.
If there are any questions.
Any questions from the audience in regards to the staff statement? Yeah. Commissioner?
No.
Here we go. We'll close the staff's part. We'll move on to public. Is there anybody in the public who would like to testify on this issue? Hearing none, we'll move on to Commissioner deliberations. Commissioner?
Okay, this is pretty routine, and I appreciate the fact that they're pushing these lines underneath so that we don't have broken up asphalt, because that's very important. So, thank you very much.
I will entertain a motion.
So I will move that the board approve the private line occupancy permit for Francis Millette on Lake Drive for septic transport line near address 330 Northeast Lake Drive, Washington.
I will second. It is moved and seconded. Board approve a private line occupancy permit for Francis Millette on Lake Drive for septic transport line near address 330 Northeast Lake Drive, Tahuya, Washington. Any further deliberation? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries, that hearing is closed. And that completes our business for the day. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn.
I will second, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
So we're going to